We are not babysitting your kids anymore. The room went silent so fast it felt like pressure dropping before a storm. Madison Clark froze mid-reach for her fork, cheesecake untouched in front of her. 34 years old. EU nurse. Single mom of 2 girls who had already learned to read adult moods the way other kids read bedtime stories. Her mother had chosen the moment carefully, standing up just as dessert plates were being passed, just as relatives leaned back and loosened belts, just as Madison's guard was down. The chandelier hummed faintly above them, the television in the next room counting down New Year's Eve specials. Laughter from earlier still hung in the air, stale now. I just want to be clear, her mother continued, voice loud and practiced. We're done being your childcare solution. No more last-minute drop-offs. No more acting like we owe you. Every head turned. Forks paused. Someone coughed. Madison felt it before she saw it. Haley's shoulders tightening beside her, 9 years old and too perceptive. Sophie, 6, looked up from her plate, brow creased in confusion, trying to understand why Grandma sounded angry at Mommy. Public humiliation. Delivered like an announcement. On purpose. Madison's mother kept going. We've done enough. It's time you figured things out like an adult. Cold settled into Madison's chest, sharp and steady. Not surprise. Recognition. This wasn't about babysitting. It was about control. About reminding Madison, again, who was supposed to be small in this family. Madison set her fork down carefully. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. She didn't explain the 12-hour night shifts, the code she ran at 3 a.m., the way she slept in fragments so her daughters never noticed how tired she was. She simply stood. Okay, she said calmly. Her mother blinked, clearly expecting pleading, bargaining, embarrassment. Something louder. Madison continued, voice even. Then we're done too. A ripple of confusion moved through the table. No more late-night rides when your car won't start, Madison said, turning slightly so everyone could hear. No more grocery runs because you forgot something. No more Madison, can you come fix this texts. No more favors. No more access. Her mother's mouth opened. Closed. Madison reached for her coat. If my kids are an inconvenience, then so am I. Haley's eyes filled immediately. She tried to hide it, wiping her face with her sleeve. Sophie tugged on Madison's hand, whispering, Are we in trouble? No, baby, Madison said softly, crouching to meet her eyes. We're going home. Chairs scrape. Someone muttered, Come on, it's New Year's. Madison didn't look back. She ushered the girls toward the door, past blinking relatives and half-finished desserts, past the sound of her mother finally finding her voice, sharp, panicked now. You're overreacting, her mother snapped. Don't be dramatic in front of everyone. Madison opened the door. Cold air rushed in, clean and bracing. Fireworks popped faintly somewhere in the distance. Premature celebrations she no longer felt invited to. Haley sniffled as they stepped onto the porch. Sophie kept looking behind them, waiting for Grandma to say sorry. She didn't. They drove away before midnight, before the countdown, before the forced hugs and hollow resolutions. Madison's phone buzzed once in the cup holder. Then again. And again. She didn't check it. Later that night, after the girls were asleep and the house was quiet, Madison finally turned her phone face up. 48 missed calls. And the year had only just begun. Madison woke to her phone buzzing so hard it rattled across the nightstand. For half a second, she thought she was still dreaming. Then she saw the screen light up again. Mom. Her stomach dropped. 48 missed calls didn't mean anger. Not to a nurse. Meant something is wrong. Her brain flipped instantly into ICU mode. Stroke, fall, heart event, blood sugar crash. She was already running the checklist before her feet hit the floor. Girls, she called softly, already pulling on jeans. Stay in bed. I'll be right back. No voicemail. No text. Just call after call after call. That scared her more than yelling ever could. She drove back to her mother's suburban house with her pulse in her ears, hands tight on the steering wheel, rehearsing worst-case scenarios. She pictured her mother on the kitchen floor. Frank panicking. Paramedics late. The driveway was full when she arrived at Frank's car. Aunt Denise's sous. The porch light was on. The house looked fine. Too fine. Madison stepped inside and stopped. They were seated like a panel. Her mother at the head of the dining table, arms crossed. Frank beside her, jaw set. Aunt Denise slightly apart, hands folded, eyes flicking up to meet Madison's. No oxygen tanks. No ambulance. No panic. Just an ambush. "So you finally decided to show up," her mother said. Madison stood there for a beat, letting the truth settle. The missed calls weren't fear, they were leverage. "You called me 48 times, Madison said slowly. "I thought you were hurt." Her mother waved a hand. "Don't be dramatic." Something hardened in Madison's chest. "Sit," Frank said, gesturing to a chair. Madison didn't. Her mother leaned forward. "We need to clear the air after your little performance last night." "There was no performance," Madison replied. "There was a boundary." Her mother scoffed. "You can't just take your kids and punish us." "I didn't punish anyone. I removed my children from being humiliated." Frank sighed, rubbing his face. "This is exactly what we're talking about. You overreact. After everything your mother's done for you." Here it came. "We're not saying we'll babysit," her mother interrupted. "That part stands. But you still need to help out. The rides, errands, the house stuff. That's just family." Madison stared at her. "So you want my labor? Not my kids?" Silence. Her mother straightened. "Parents take care of children. Then children take care of parents. You owe me." There it was. The sentence that had hovered over Madison's life like a bill she could never pay off. "No," Madison said. Clear. "I don't owe you rides. I don't owe you free labor. I don't owe you access to my life while my children are treated like inconveniences." Frank shook his head. "You're forgetting the divorce. The years your mom held everything together. You should be grateful." Madison felt the familiar tug. Guilt reaching for her ankles. Then she noticed Aunt Denise. Her aunt didn't speak. She just gave the smallest nod. Not encouragement. Validation. "You're not crazy." Madison exhaled. "You don't get to rewrite history to control me," she said. "I help when it's mutual. Not when it's demanded." Her mother's voice sharpened. "You'll regret this. You can't just walk away." Madison picked up her keys. "Watch me." Frank stood abruptly. "Madison." She was already heading for the door. This time, there was no rush of tears. No second-guessing. No fear of being the bad daughter. Just clarity. She paused only once, turning back toward Aunt Denise. Their eyes met again. Another nod. Firmer now. Madison left without guilt, without apology, without looking back. And for the first time since becoming a mother herself, she understood something clearly. The debt had never been real. The first thing Madison noticed was the quiet, buzzing phone during medication passes. No guilt-laced voicemails waiting when she came off shift. No mental math about who she needed to placate before she could rest. For the first few days after the ultimatum, there was nothing work. She moved through her ICU shifts with an unfamiliar steadiness. 12 hours on her feet, alarms blaring, lives hanging in balance. And somehow, this felt easier than her family dinners ever had. Her mind stayed where it belonged. When she clocked out, she went home. No detours. No, "Can you swing by real quick?" Then the messages started. The first text came late one night. "I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings." Madison almost laughed. The non-apology was textbook. No ownership. Just if she didn't respond. The next morning brought the guilt. "After all I've done for you, this is how you treat me." Delete. By day 3, the martyrdom arrived, draped in concern. "Don't worry about your old mother. I'll manage somehow." Madison set the phone face down and breathed through the familiar urge to fix it. She recognized the cycle now. Guilt. Obligation. Rescue. She chose none of it. Instead, she built something new. Her neighbor, Carla, had overheard a phone call in the parking lot days earlier. Single mom too. 2 kids, different schedules, same exhaustion. They struck a quiet deal. Madison covered Carla's early shifts once a week. Carla handled after-school pickups when Madison worked nights. No power plays. No scorekeeping to the hospital. Madison adjusted her schedule, swapping one overnight for a longer weekend shift. It wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful. Then the flying monkeys arrived, her cousin called first, voice cautious. "Your mom's really upset. She says you just abandoned her." An aunt followed. "You know how sensitive she is." Each call came with fragments of the story, carefully edited, missing context, heavy on emotion. Madison stopped correcting them. She simply said, "There's more to it than that," and changed the subject. The turning point came when Aunt Denise showed up. No warning. No agenda. Just a knock and a bag of takeout. They sat at Madison's small kitchen table after the girls went to bed, the hum of the refrigerator filling the space. "She's losing it," Denise said finally. Not unkindly. Just factual. Madison stiffened. "I don't want to hear excuses." "I'm not here to make them," Denise replied. "I'm here to tell you the truth." She leaned back. "Your mother built her entire identity on being the sacrificer, the one who did everything. That role gave her attention, authority, purpose." Madison felt something click. "When you struggled," Denise continued, "she was needed. When you became competent, successful, independent, you became the hero. And she couldn't stand it." Madison stared at the table. "This isn't about babysitting," Denise said gently. "It's about spotlight, control. If you don't need her, she doesn't know who she is." The weight of it settled over Madison, heavy but clarifying. "That's why she escalated," Denise added. "Public scenes, ultimatums, martyr messages. She's trying to pull you back into a role that keeps her relevant." Madison exhaled, exhaustion giving way to understanding. "So it won't stop," she said. Denise shook her head. "Not unless you stay small. And you're not going to do that." For the first time in weeks, Madison felt something close to relief. Not because it was over, but because she finally understood the rules of the game. And she had already stopped playing. The quiet was the strangest part. For the first few days after the second walkout, Madison kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Her phone stayed still during night shifts. No emergency calls. No demands disguised as concern. Just silence. Work. The difference was immediate. She finished a full ICU shift without checking her phone every hour. No last-minute texts asking for rides. No "can you swing by" messages while she was still in scrubs. She noticed she could breathe again, really breathe, between patients. Of course, the silence didn't last. It never did. The texts began softly, almost professionally. "I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings." Madison stared at the words during a break, recognizing the shape of them instantly. Not "I'm sorry I hurt you." Just sorry if Madison had reacted wrong. She didn't respond. 2 hours later. "After all I've done for you, I never thought you'd shut me out like this." There it was. The invoice. Then the martyrdom phase arrived right on schedule. "Don't worry about your old mother. I'll figure things out on my own." Madison muted the thread. That's when the flying monkeys came. An aunt called first. Concerned, confused, clearly operating on a heavily edited version of events. Cousin followed. Then an old family friend. Each conversation sounded eerily similar. "She's really hurt. She doesn't understand why you're being so harsh. She says she doesn't even know what she did." Madison stopped explaining. She simply said, "I'm taking space." And let the silence do its work. Instead of scrambling, she started building something new. Her neighbor, Carla, worked evenings at a daycare. They struck a quiet trade. Madison covered occasional overnight babysitting during Carla's double shifts. Carla handled early mornings when Madison came off nights. No guilt. No leverage. Just balanced. At the hospital, Madison adjusted her schedule slightly. Fewer back-to-back nights, more predictable hours. It cost her some flexibility, but she gained peace. Then Aunt Denise showed up. No warning. No agenda. Just a knock and 2 coffees in a cardboard tray. They sat at Madison's kitchen table while the girls colored nearby. "I'm not here to fix anything," Denise said. "I just want to say this once." Madison waited. "Your mother's not angry because she needs help," Denise continued. She's angry because she lost her role. Madison frowned. Her role? Denise nodded. The sacrificial mother. The one who's needed. The hero. She took a sip of coffee. You became competent, independent, respected. And she doesn't know who she is without being the center of the story. The words landed with a dull, heavy clarity. She doesn't want reciprocity, Denise said gently. She wants control and attention. When you stopped playing the part, she panicked. Madison felt something loosen in her chest, exhaustion giving way to understanding. So it was never about babysitting, Madison said. Never, Denise replied. It was about spotlight. For the first time in weeks, Madison slept without waking up tense. The first sign came from Facebook. Madison didn't even follow her mother anymore, but the post floated into her feed anyway. Liked, shared, and commented on by half the neighborhood. New year, new projects. Doing this all on our own. Below it was a photo of her mother's backyard. Torn up grass, exposed dirt, a half-built stone outline. People commented things like "so inspiring," and "love this independence era," and "can't wait to see the finished space." Madison scrolled once. Then closed the app. The second sign came from Aunt Denise's phone call. "Sit down," Denise said without preamble. Madison did. "They hired a contractor," Denise continued. "The original quote was $10,000. Bare bones. Just a basic patio." Madison already felt the familiar pull, the fixer instinct waking up. "And?" she asked carefully. "And it's at nearly $22,000 now," Denise said. The breakdown came fast, stone upgrades instead of concrete. A gas line for a bigger grill. Pergola. Door lighting. Rush fees. Extra labor. Then the real problems. No permits pulled before construction started. City fines. Choi penalties for unauthorized work. A stop work notice taped to the fence. "They borrowed from 3 relatives," Denise said. "And your grandmother keeps telling people no one will help them." A week later, Denise slid a manila folder across a coffee shop table. Invoices. Notices. Highlighted totals. Madison flipped through them slowly, methodically, the way she reviewed charts at work. $22,000. And climbing. For a moment, just a moment, she imagined stepping in. Making calls. Fixing the permits. Negotiating the contractor down. Cleaning it up. She pictured canceling movie night with the girls. Again. She heard Sophie's voice in her head. "Why does Grandma get everything she wants?" Madison closed the folder. She pushed it back across the table. "I can't," she said quietly. Denise didn't argue. The call came that night. "I hope you're happy," her mother snapped the second Madison answered. "That company is robbing us blind." Madison leaned against the counter, steady. "If you had been here," her mother continued, "this never would have happened." Madison didn't raise her voice. "You chose to do it without me," she said. Silence. Not explosive silence. Just the sound of a narrative collapsing. Madison hung up with her hands shaking. Not from guilt, but from the unfamiliar weight of relief. For the first time, the consequences weren't hers to absorb. And the world didn't end. 2 weeks passed without a word. No missed calls. No guilt texts. No flying monkeys. The silence felt unfamiliar, but not heavy. Madison settled into it the way you settle into a room once the noise stops, realizing how tense you'd been before. Then, on a Thursday afternoon between shifts, her phone buzzed. "Can we talk? I owe you an apology." Madison stared at the screen longer than she wanted to admit. It didn't sound performative. No if. No accusations tucked between lines. Just a request. She agreed, but only on her terms. They met at a coffee shop halfway between their houses. Neutral ground. Public. Daylight. Madison arrived first. When her mother walked in, Madison almost didn't recognize her. She looked smaller. Shoulders slumped. No perfectly styled hair. No commanding presence scanning the room. Just a woman clutching her purse like she wasn't sure she belonged there. They ordered. Saturday. Her mother spoke first. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "For what I said at dinner. For embarrassing you. And for hurting the girls." Madison waited. She'd learned the difference between pauses meant to invite forgiveness and pauses meant to gather courage. This one was the latter. "I shouldn't have said they were a burden," her mother continued, eyes glossy. "That was wrong. They didn't deserve that. You didn't either." Something in Madison's chest loosened. Not relief exactly. Recognition. Frank arrived a few minutes later, sitting beside her mother but not taking over. He cleared his throat. "She's scared," he said simply. Her mother nodded. "You're the hero now," she admitted. "You manage everything. The kids, your job, life. And I." She swallowed. "There's no room for me unless I'm needed." Madison absorbed that. She understood it. She didn't excuse it. "I can understand your fear," Madison said evenly. "But fear doesn't give you permission to control me or hurt my kids." Her mother nodded again. Smaller still. "I know." Madison leaned forward then, not aggressively but firmly. "If we're going to try again," she said, "there are 3 non-negotiables." Her mother looked up. Listened. "First," Madison said, "you never call my children a burden again. Not joking. Not frustrated. Not ever." "Agreed," her mother said immediately. "Second," Madison continued, "babysitting is not a bargaining chip. It's not leverage. If you say no, that's fine. But it doesn't buy you access elsewhere." Another nod. "And third," Madison said, voice steady, "I am no longer your on-call chauffeur or handyman. Help when I choose. Not when I'm summoned." Her mother hesitated. Then, "I'll try." It wasn't perfect. It wasn't poetic. But it was honest. They agreed on something limited. Conditional. Trial, Sunday afternoon. 2 hours. Supervised. Neutral activity. Madison would stay. When Sunday came, it went fine. The girls played. Her mother tried, awkwardly, carefully. No comments, no jabs, just effort. For a few weeks things seemed calmer. Texts stayed respectful. Requests were actually requests. Madison didn't relax completely, but she allowed a small pocket of hope. Not because she trusted blindly, but because boundaries, clearly drawn, finally gave her something she'd never had before. A choice. The post went up on a Tuesday morning. Madison saw it between med passes. Thumb freezing mid-scroll, her mother stood in front of the finished backyard, sunglasses on, smile wide. Stone patio gleaming. Pergola draped in lights. Grill front and center like a trophy. "All on our own," the caption read. "Kids too independent to remember family, but we managed anyway. Stronger than ever." Comments poured in instantly. "You're amazing. Such a sacrificial mother. Some people don't appreciate what they have." Something in Madison finally clicked into place. Not anger. Not hurt. Clarity. She waited until her shift ended. Until the girls were settled with homework. Until her hands were steady. Then she replied. Not a rant. Not insults. Receipts. First, a photo from her camera roll. Madison herself, hair pulled back, hauling stone, dirt on her scrubs from stopping by after night shift. Second, a screenshot of her mother's original text from months earlier. "If you help us build it, we'll help you with the girls whenever you need." Third, a short, calm explanation. "I helped build this under an agreement that was later denied publicly at a family dinner in front of my children. When I set boundaries, I was told I owed labor, but my kids were a burden. This project continued without me by choice, not independence." She hit post. Aunt Denise liked it within seconds. Then Monica commented. "She offered me the same deal years ago." Someone shared the screenshot to the family group chat. "The dam broke." Grandmother chimed in about the money she'd loaned. An uncle mentioned ignored advice and rushed contractors. Monica added bluntly, "She's always compared her kids to everyone else's." The post disappeared. 5 minutes later, Madison's phone rang. "You turned my family against me," her mother hissed. Madison didn't raise her voice. "I didn't turn anyone. I just stopped covering for you. That was it." The fallout was quiet but decisive. Grandma paused financial help. Relatives stopped engaging. Group chats went silent. Madison left them all. Life didn't collapse, IT expanded. Neighbors traded childcare. Co-workers swapped shifts. Other moms showed up with casseroles and honesty. Chosen family, built slowly and without debt. That night, Madison sat on the couch between Haley and Sophie, movie playing, laughter easy. And she understood the final truth. You don't owe your silence to anyone. Family is not a free pass to be cruel. And the most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's walking away and building something healthier. Let them live with the fact you turned out okay without them.